After telling the story of the Lions of 97 in South Africa, Series 2 of Inside the Tour from Audi heads off on the Ashes Tour of 1986-87. My name's Mark Pougatch. In 86, I was a backpacker. These were professional cricketers. Sometimes in Australia, it was hard to tell the difference. So I'm blending in by grabbing a fantastic craft beer from my free case sent by our friends at Beer 52. This exclusive offer is available right now at www.beer52.com/inside. Each month, members of the world's largest beer club are sent a case with a different theme. It could be a country you haven't tasted yet. Who knows? If you don't like dark beer, you can choose the light option. You get a couple of snacks as well and a magazine. And you can pause or cancel at any time. To claim your free case, all you need to do is go to beer52.com/inside and pay the postage of £5.95. Then settle back and come with me to Australia for a crazy ride of intrigue and surprise. It's Inside the Tour. On the 24th of October 2021, for one of almost 20 interviews conducted for this series, we spoke to Allan Lamb.
Is that okay? Okay, perfect.
A fixture in the England team for a decade, winning 79 caps, Allan was a feared middle-order batsman both for his county Northamptonshire and for England. Exactly a week after our chat, he goes public with the news. He's been receiving treatment for prostate cancer. While making this series, we'd been liaising with him for a number of weeks and were aware of his treatment. However, he was keen to do the interview, and as you'll hear, he's open about his illness. We're backing him all the way, including making a donation to Prostate Cancer UK and encouraging others to do the same. But it's not the reason we've made this episode. We've made it because Allan was a brilliant batsman and valuable member of the 86-7 touring squad, especially during the one day as when England, again, were all-conquering. Allan Lamb played his part during the tests, but mainly with laughs and beers. And music.
With Allan Lamb, he had this big ghetto blaster, and then it became my job to carry the ghetto blaster. So anytime that the music comes on, I remember full blast Lammy playing this Cyndi Lauper. He'd play Cyndi Lauper. He had the CD of Cyndi Lauper, and he'd play that. That's the thing about this tour, you know, that song will come on, and wherever I'm driving or wherever I am, that comes on, and I have a massive smile on my face, just taking me back to what went on really on that tour.
That's Phil de Freitas. As you'll hear, he'll be forever linked with Allan Lamb on this tour.
It was fantastic what he did.
Coming out of the Test series, Lammy was having a tough time. He'd averaged just 18 from 9 innings.
Yeah, I should have got a lot more runs, and I got out to Bruce Reid quite a bit. Yeah, I didn't get enough runs, so maybe coming towards the fifth Test match, I thought I may not play in it, you know. But we had just won the series in Melbourne, so, you know, they kept the same side.
His time would come. After the Melbourne Test, England went back to Perth to play a one-off four-nation one-day series.
The Perth Challenge, a novel competition, a week or so in Perth.
Yeah, that was in celebration of the America's Cup that was taking place in Perth at the same time.
The Perth Challenge was just a phenomenal competition which really went down well, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. The white ball, the night time, and 4 really good teams.
David Gower, Chris Broad and Jack Richards with the England team. Opponents, exciting Pakistan, the explosive pace of the classic West Indies side of the 80s, and Australia on home soil. England were arguably the outsiders. This was a new experience. Coloured clothing, floodlights, a white ball.
The first time we played under lights was a practice session in Perth ahead of the America's Cup games. Goodness me, it was just completely different. White ball in the dark sky. I find it great. I really did. There's an awful lot of batsmen now saying, when it gets a bit twilighty, it's difficult to see this, difficult to see that. I'm afraid I don't buy into that, because you focus in on the ball, whatever colour it is, and you play the shots accordingly. So I enjoyed the first time that I played white ball cricket under lights, and I just think it's a fantastic game of cricket.
England, having won the Test series, brought out the expats.
I never knew there were so many cornersmen in Australia, ringing up for tickets all over the place. Suddenly you saw, through the success, the English supporters gelling together and getting together. And I can remember, certainly one day, there was an awful lot of support. And because of our success, because at the end of the day, we've never done so well. We won absolutely everything and nearly won nearly every game.
New Year's Day was a big one. England beat Australia. Botham making 68 off 39 balls, hitting Simon Davis for 26 in 1 over. Although the memory's a bit fuzzy.
Do you remember the one you hit about 15 rows back over long on?
Yeah, and one went long off as well, I think. Yeah, but yeah, the MCG it's a massive ground, but the shortest boundary is actually straight.
No, that was Perth. Sorry, that was Perth. That was New Year's Day.
So Simon O'Donnell I smashed at Melbourne, sorry, yeah.
Yes, Simon Davis at Perth, yeah.
Yeah, that did go a long way at Perth. It helped with the Fremantle doctor. But it was Simon O'Donnell in Melbourne, yeah.
That's okay, Beefy. It was 35 years ago, and Jack Richards can help you out a little.
Beefy suddenly was in his element, and Simon Davis was the right pace for him, and the straight drives, the good cricket shots went a long way. I remember he played one shot, and I don't think the fielders, they were so straight they could hardly move it. It still went between them.
This is going great. On the 3rd of January, England beat the West Indies. Not just any West Indies. Greenwich, Haynes, Richardson, Richards, Logie, Dujon, Harper, Marshall, Holding, Garner and Walsh. For many, the ultimate cricket team of the 1980s.
At Perth, of all places. My name is Jack Richards, which I still feel was one of my best batting innings. It was a 50 against the one day, 50 against the West Indies. Me and Lammy took us from being, again, batting fielder, took us to a respectable target, which we actually defended and won that game, which was, again, for me, one of the highlights. Most probably could be close to being the highlight, because we beat Australia, we won the Ashes, we knew we were better than them, but we didn't know we were better than the West Indies. When you're a sports person, you want to judge yourself against the very best. And they were by far, in the 80s, by far, head and shoulders the best. I was so elated with winning that game, more than anything and more than any test match, really. They were the bee's knees. We were classified as being one of the worst teams to leave England, and yet at the quickest wicket in the world at the time, we took on the West Indies. And we didn't just beat them there, we beat them 3 or 4 occasions in that whole series.
Allan Lamb had scored 66 in the first match, 71 in the second.
In the one-dayers, I did well in those one-dayers.
After a long, unsuccessful tour, this was his time.
It was a great relief, really, because I had always backed myself in one-day cricket whenever I played. It always came down to the last 20 overs, and then we'd work it out from there. I had a lot of success also for going forward for England, World Cup when we played in Pakistan and India.
The side was fully confident that it could meet any challenge on that tour. It's a very special feeling, because to come back from that horrible start in the first month and make the subsequent 3 months so triumphant was a huge thing.
Although the Ashes is the big one, it doesn't necessarily make it the best game, is it? It's not the best 2 teams in the world, necessarily. But when you can come up and pitch yourself against the best team in the world by far, and you actually stuff them, and you actually stuff them well, and you have a key part of that, that's brilliant.
The thing I remember about that was we played Australia in Sydney, and we're all very tired, I think, looking forward to the end of the match. And I was sat having a beer with Greg Matthews, and he said to me, you'll never get another opportunity of winning absolutely everything in Australia. So for me, that struck a chord.
Then we also beat Pakistan. Look at their team. Javed, Imran, Wasim Raja, you name it, Akram, Kadir.
They beat Pakistan twice at the end of that competition, winning the Perth Challenge undefeated, under the leadership still of Mike Gatting.
We'd beaten the West Indies in the World Series and in the Perth Challenge. We'd beaten a really good Pakistan side with, Imran and Wasim and me and Dad, and you could see the guys were growing in confidence.
Yes, we managed to beat off the West Indies, Pakistan, Australia, and win that particular series. And then, yes, at the end of the test matches, we played the World Series Cup.
Things like the Commonwealth Bank Series, the one-day series. Lammy's extraordinary performance in Sydney, that was all the more extraordinary considering the night before.
Now that's just David Gower being a tease, but we like it. And we need to know more. Francis Edmonds, Phil de Freitas, Allan Lamb. Join in.
We were playing Australia in that one day. We had a party the night before.
In the flats at Bondi Junction where we were staying, which Lamb and I put together.
We decided to have a cocktail party because David had organised Bollinger as a sponsor.
Mrs. Lamb had contacts and friends in Sydney who did the catering. I had my great friend Rob Hurst who supplied the Bollinger and other wines. And we had a very, very good night.
I think there was more champagne going around. And what? It's just champagne and wine getting loaded onto the bus.
Add to this, as if this is enough going on, we then get Elton John was on tour.
All the guys, George Michael, Elton John, they all bloody came to this. And we had a massive big party. All the commentators came along, Dennis Lillee.
And Dennis Lillee got stuck in a lift.
We invited George Michael that night. Charming chap on the 23rd floor of the Bondi Junction apartments. Sat there quietly, actually, and sort of left quietly. Very well behaved.
The party we had in Sydney, Elton introduced me to George Michael. I met George Michael because I was a great fan of Wham. And I love Wham because Wham was the first concert I ever went to watch. I remember watching it at Kilburn, and that was the first one I went to. And then suddenly I said to Elton, can I meet George? And George came in and introduced me, and I met George. So it was just, for me, it was just amazing time.
Well, those days was great because we only started at 2:00, so you can have a sleep. And you didn't come in for like an early morning session. We just went straight to the ground, have our knock-up, and away we went.
However, anybody ever got on the pitch, ever, I don't know, but we did. I'm Francis Edmonds, and I was on the 86-87 Ashes tour as a supporter, writer, broadcaster, and wife of England spin bowler Phil Edmonds. It seems to be now that they seem to rock around in an hermetically sealed bubble, probably like tennis stars do. So, surrounded by a coterie of folk or surrounded in their own little hermetically sealed bubble so that they don't interact that much with what's going on the ground. And then I think you would get bored, if all you're doing is playing cricket morning, noon and night, and you're not really sort of plugged into what else is going on, the rich tapestry of the life around you. What's happening in the politics of what's going on in the country that you are? What do they know of cricket who only cricket know, as the great C.L.R. James once wrote? You've got guys who'll tour in India, Pakistan, Australia. They don't really care about the environment or the political environment. They're not that interested in the political environment in which they find themselves. I mean, Australia, even when we were there, the politics that was going on, Malcolm Turnbull taking on the British government over Spycatcher, Sir Joe Bielke-Peterson, this completely hardline right-winger, the appalling behaviour of really white fascist government at that time in Queensland vis-a-vis, indigenous populations, all the stuff that was going on. It was fascinating. Maybe you'd say, fair enough, they're concentrated on their cricket, but if you're going to spend 4 months of your life in a country, get to know what's going on, find the people there. If you're not interested in those things, you're not interested in those things. So, if all you do is get up, have your breakfast, go to the practice nets, play a game, repeat, wash, repeat, rinse, cycle, blah, you will go bonkers. And I'm wondering if that's not what's happening. Anyway, there you go. That's my take.
So time for drinks. In Australia, the 12th man's walking out, carrying a tray of something, while I'm getting properly refreshed with a fantastic craft beer sent in the free case from Beer 52, available in our special offer to all Inside the Tour listeners. To claim your case from the world's largest beer club, just visit www.beer52.com/inside and cover the postage of £5.95. Each case has a theme. If you don't like dark beers, just choose the light option. You get a magazine, you get snacks, and you can cancel or pause at any time you like. Right, the players are eyeing up my beer. 12th man off the pitch. Time to resume play. It's the 4th match of the World Series one-day competition at the SCG in Sydney. I'm Mark Pougatch, and I'm on the famous Sydney Hill, drinking beer, wrapped in a Union flag.
Sydney at night time, you've got the splendour of modern day cricket, but also the old pavilion. It's just a great place to be. And that hill at the time was just fantastic. It was just unbelievable. That was just a phenomenal place to play cricket. No, it's got to be my favourite cricket ground of all, really. It's just unique.
That's Jack Richards, the England wicketkeeper. He was one of 3 quick wickets to fall as England replied to Australia's decent 233 for 8 from their 50 overs. England at this stage were 202 for 7 with just a couple of overs left. Not good. Allan Lamb was in, joined by roommate Phil de Freitas.
Lammy, I don't think people realise how hard he worked. You know, I saw it from my own eyes, really, Lammy, how hard he worked at it. And, everyone said, well, Lammy likes to drink and he, sort of had a bit fun. He did. But when it came to the cricket side of it, he worked extremely hard. And, and I totally respected him for that. And I saw it. And at times, would go to the ground and sometimes Lammy used to run back. And I don't think people saw that. Would be all on the coach. And if it was, say if he was only 5 miles away or 6 miles or what, sometimes Lammy would run back to the hotel. He'd do his, get his fitness, his training in. So, Lammy, sort of, that side of Lammy I don't think people realised. And he did work very hard as well.
Together at the wicket, with the run chase slowing down, things then took a surprising turn.
We went out and I remember Lammy, his first ball he faced and, might have scored 2, I'm not sure what it was. And he looked at his bat and he's gone, and he says, let's have a look at your bat, Daff. And he looked at mine, he says, right, there you go, swap over. And he says, your bat feels a bit better, give us your bat. So he used my bat, because his bat was a plank.
I think a psychological thing. I think it was just because I couldn't hit the ball off the square. I thought, you always blame your tools if something goes wrong, and I said, no, I'm sure his bat's going to help. I said, we're 18 off the last over. I said to him, we've got to get it. You seem to be striking it. Okay, I've got to have your bat. But I said, I'm going to keep strike, so I need your bat.
And remember, Allan Lamb was batting here the day after that Bondi Junction party.
So when Lammy, substantially less than 24 hours later, was faced with finishing off that game, the final over against Bruce Reid, it was an extraordinary sight, absolutely extraordinary sight.
It really was. Let's join Lammy out in the middle.
I also remember that you were sitting in the crowds too.
So we were right in the middle of the hill and England needed 18 off the last over with 3 wickets in hand. We were feeling quite punchy when it came to having a bet, and I turned around to 2 Aussies who were next to me. They weren't mates of mine, I'd never seen them before, and said, I bet you a slab of beer each that Allan Lamb gets this.
So the first ball...
And watching the first ball, he gives himself a bit of room and punches it for 2 to extra cover. And Dirk Wellham is the fielder. And Philip de Freitas is at the other end. They come back for 2. It's not a good throw.
And he said to me, whatever I do, just get in and run. He says, just run. And all I did was run.
Right, so we got that off the first.
So that's 2, so that's now 16 off 5.
Then where did the next ball go?
The next one, he just has an enormous hoik and he gets a thick bottom edge straight into a Foster's advertising sign.
The second, we got that boundary.
12 needed off 4.
Correct.
And he did all the calling, he did everything. If there was going to be 2, made sure I got in.
And then the next ball...
Oh, it's a bit more of a modern day shot. He clears his left leg a bit and smacks it over long on.
I hit that one for 6 over mid-wicket, remember that?
Really clearly. I remember that 6 really clearly.
We couldn't do a thing wrong. After the first month, when we did everything wrong, we couldn't do a thing wrong after that. So it was amazing over from Allan Lamb, and that summed up the whole tour, really.
Because we went absolutely mad and starting to, run round the hill and punch the air, and the Aussie supporters, you can see, are thinking, wow, because suddenly it's 6 off 3, and you're going, well, hang on a second, 18 off 6, and now 6 off 3. So surely they should cruise this, shouldn't they?
You've got to back yourself, and I backed myself that last over.
The way he did it, it was incredible.
Then the next ball was the vital ball.
I've got a feeling the ball was thrown to Bruce Reid's end, the bowler's end. So he stood in front of Bruce Reid and he just said, whatever happens, you run. And I was running and I'm thinking, well, Lammy, you're not moving.
Now, this is so canny of Allan Lamb. This is so canny because it's only ever one. But as the throw is 3/4 of the way back to Bruce Reid, Allan Lamb at the non-striker's end is standing right in front of the bowler.
And he just stood there and the ball came and then he shifted and then went. And Bruce Reid, I think, might have fumbled it and we got in.
So Bruce Reid can't see the ball. And literally, Allan Lamb just starts to move. The ball hits Bruce Reid on the chest, bounces away. They get back for 2.
I'd hit it out to Dirk Willem again. And when I got to the other, I pretended I was going to take another run. And Dirk Willem pretended to throw it or whatever. And I knew he was going to throw it back. And so I ran back and I stood in front of Bruce Reid on purpose. I said to Alan Porter, don't be so stupid. I wasn't doing that on purpose. I mean, I was trying to get out of the way of the ball. But I did stand in front of Bruce Reid. And when they threw the ball in, I did get out of the way. And it hit Bruce Reid, you remember, in the chest or something. And we scampered through for the run.
And he took the strike.
We just carried on.
4 off 2 now. England are the favourites. 3 wickets in hand. That doesn't matter. 4 runs needed off 2.
It's incredible to watch how we did it.
Allan Lamb suddenly giving himself a little bit more room.
Then I think the next ball, I clipped him over mid-wicket for 4.
Oh, that is the best shot of that is the best shot of the whole over. Flicks it straight into a 4 and 20 pies sign at square leg.
There was just such a cheer when I came into the dressing room. Everyone was so pleased.
Punches the air, shake hands with Daffy de Freitas, who's got a massive grin on his face.
Thinking back and looking back, it was just incredible. Incredible moment.
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall because all you guys went to celebrate in the pub afterwards and all the Aussies had left early. Do you remember? It was only the Brits were staying behind and all the Aussies went to the pub and you guys must have come in there and must have really roasted them.
And that's what it was all about.
And our crowd just loved it. I can remember it vividly, seeing our supporters really being so jubilant. It's nice to win. It's even better to win it when you expect to lose. That's the best win possible.
It's not one of those things you practice. Like nowadays, the present days cricketers, you practice power hitting, the bats are different. To do that back then was incredible. And it was fantastic, what he did.
Winning that game sort of just moved us on. It just got the momentum going.
It was a huge moment for England, of course, to win that, and for Allan Lamb in particular. But even the Australian crowd thought it was quite funny because at the next one-day between the 2 teams in the World Series, which was played at the Adelaide Oval, there was a banner which went up, "Can Bruce Reid please call Allan Lamb at 24624?"
Yeah, that was hilarious. And all of us made a point of saying, Bruce, mate, you've seen that? Lammy wants you to ring him. You can imagine it. It was great. It was good, that. It was good fun.
What happened was I spotted it was just over to mid-off, and I saw the banner. And Bruce Reid used to have that long run-up, and he was running into banner. I spotted that banner there, and I thought, well, I got it. And as he sort of got to deliver the ball, I walked away, and he said, "What's wrong with you? Effing bloody pommy and whatever." I said, "Bruce, sorry, mate, there's a message for you." And he said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Behind you." And he looked up there and there was this banner, "Bruce Reid, please phone Allan Lamb." So, he wasn't very chuffed about it.
We ended up beating Australia in the final and winning the World Series Cup as well, which I don't think will ever be done again in Australia. It was just an amazing opportunity for us.
Chris Broad, what a tour for him. What an end to the tour for Allan Lamb. Just a great trip for captains past and present, David Gower and Mike Gatting.
When you got home, just hearing all the wonderful, good feeling for everybody saying, "You made our winter," it was absolutely fantastic. And even Margaret Thatcher, when we spoke, she said, it was an amazing winter. He said the productivity went up, people were happy, there were no strikes. And when we left the country, it was a bit of a turmoil for cricket. And yet when we came back, it was just turned right the way round. And it was just an awesome feeling. We were playing cricket. That's what it was. We were playing cricket, we were enjoying ourselves, we were winning, and yet people were saying it just made a huge difference to their lives.
And it's credit on each individual, it's credit on Mike Gatting as captain, it's credit on the management for allowing the tour to develop in the right sort of way. And at the end of it all, you're all allowed to be in that same room together celebrating. A job well done by a very good bunch of committed individuals.
I played so badly and I didn't want to let the team down. So I said, I've got to get these runs. Whatever was going to happen, I backed myself to get them. If there was a chase on, I normally got them. And, that was it.
We chatted to Allan Lamb in mid-October 2021. He's in good form, good spirits. We're almost wrapping up when the conversation takes a surprising turn.
And Allan, how are you these days?
Yeah, but, you know, I've just been struggling with this prostate cancer that I've got, but I'm nearly over the treatment. So I've broken the back. So we finish first, about the 4th or 5th of November. So we're on top of that. But it's a disease that, listen, all men get it, and some people keep it quiet and they feel embarrassed about it. But I've been sort of campaigning for prostate cancer for quite a while, and we've always raised money for them and create the awareness for prostate. But it looks like I'm going to have to do it even more because I'm going to have to get out and let people know again, because there's so many people getting it, and some people, we should have never lost Bob Willis, and I think Bob's thing, he was quite embarrassed about it, didn't want to speak about it, and then probably didn't get the right treatment in the end. So I'm very much for campaigning for it, and I'll come through this, and we're getting the right treatment. I'm seeing the right specialists, so we're going forward. Life carries on, as I say. You can't sit back. And I've always believed you've got to keep attacking, and that's my motto.
So for you, Allan, let's just are you happy for us to use this because you want to use your platform to tell people?
Yes, I'm very happy to do that. So
you would say I'm being open. I'm talking about it because this is something that too often men do not talk about.
Yeah, I've been a big sort of campaigner for prostate cancer, and lots of friends of mine have had it and have come through. Some haven't made it, the big thing, the treatment's there now. You can be treated, you can be saved, and people must go and get tested. I mean, I'm with Vitality, and Vitality have been absolutely brilliant. You've got to go and get your PCA, your PSA test. Go and get it tested and have it 6 monthly or yearly. I think anyone over 60, go and get it tested. And I've been monitoring mine for a couple of years now. And it started sort of creeping up, and eventually, we had to have a biopsy, and because people can't tell, even the scan, they couldn't tell by the scan, they couldn't find anything. But I think, the biopsy tells you straight away, but the PSA is your big. Some people have big PSAs and they don't have it, but majority, I would say, sort of 80% people where their PSA goes up, then they've got the disease, and you can be saved. So I please tell everyone to go out and create awareness. Don't feel shy about it. There's nothing to feel shy about. It's a men's thing. It's like a woman's breast cancer. And there's more people dying of prostate cancer than women's, because the women have gone out and they've campaigned about this. So I just want people to, I want to create the awareness for people to go out and get tested.
Allan, one more, if I may. How many of the people you played with, how many in the cricketing community know what you're going through at the moment?
Not a lot. I think Beefy, Gower, they know. Gladstone, from the guys I played with. Yeah, all of them know. So, I've said to them, it's not a problem. If they see anyone, just tell them, It's not that I've gone around phoning everyone. I think I'm very happy for people to tell other people what I'm going through.
Allan, we really appreciate your time. Thank you very much. That's, and we wish you the very best. And thank you for being honest about that. And as you said, the point is, as you say, with your, with who you are, people listening to this, men will be going, actually, right, yes, yeah. That's exactly what you want them to do and that they will do. So thank you very much for being so open about that.
Okay, guys. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Allan Lamb. He's received so much support since going public with his news. We wish him all the very best, as indeed does one of his great rivals during the 1986-87 Ashes series.
Oh, it's sad to hear that news, but I know what he's like. He'll do it with a smile on his face and be annoying everyone. Hello, it's Alan Border here. I was the Australian cricket captain during the Ashes series of 86-87. Yeah, what a good man. And I'll send my best wishes now, but I'll follow up later on. So, stay strong, Lammy.
Stay strong, Lammy. If anyone has that famous banner from Adelaide in 1987, turn it over and write that message on the other side. Allan Lamb, one of the magnificent members of our Inside the Tour cast. Huge thanks to him and Alan Border, David Gower, Mike Gatting, Chris Broad, Jack Richards, Francis Edmonds, Gladstone Small, Geoff Lawson, Peter Taylor, Mickey Stewart, Pat Cash and Lord Botham. Make sure you download all 8 episodes of the series for the full remarkable story of the 86-87 Ashes series. And if you enjoyed this one and didn't hear Series 1, that's still available. The story of the British and Irish Lions in South Africa in 1997. My thanks to the whole production team at 9419, everyone at Audi, and to yourself for listening. I'm Mark Pougatch. This has been Inside the Tour.
Yes, we won, but we also had the best of times as well.
And that was just magical to watch.
You know, for me, it was just amazing time.
And I can't emphasise it enough. It was the happiest tour I've ever been on.